So I'm out here on June the 1st doing a bit of a Fireblight check. I'm a little late for that, and if it were bad I would have seen it already. So I know it's not bad. But I do walk the trees just to check, see if there's anything I need to snip out or that I should snip out at this point. Something of note is this is a Sweet 16 tree right here. Up on the tall spindle I had some Sweet 16s just melt to the ground with Fireblight. I mean, it completely destroyed the trees. I cut them out. This was another tree I had, so I decided to plant it out here after I got Fireblight under control, just to see if I could grow Sweet 16 under a new Fireblight control program, if you will. I did cut Fireblight out of this tree this year. It was maybe 10 days ago. I went way back into the stem, cut it right there. Cut another one, I think I cut it all the way back to right there. It was a side shoot off of this branch. I had two flagging shoots on this tree. And I cut them both way back and out and burned them, got rid of them quickly. I don't see anything else rearing its ugly head on this Sweet 16 tree. See, there are some apples here. And for a dwarf tree, it's got a fair crop. The deer tend to pick on these, but once that fence gets in place, we'll be doing just fine with that tree. And so this is the vertical axis row. And so I walk the line just looking for any flagging shoots, anything that's just dead. I look for apples like that and wonder what's gotten it. Not sure about that one. That's a Bevan's favorite tree. There's more deer damage here. You can see that. Coming to an end on these Bevan's favorite trees because of the fence coming in. Bevan's is a very early ripening apple. It'll ripen in the summer here, and kind of an orb shape there. Just a few fruits on the tree. And these trees have been in here for a little while, but just to explain, about 3 years ago the Fireblight was so bad that I cut so much out of these trees. It actually deformed a lot of them. And they're just now getting back to where they should have been. These Williams Prides are putting on huge apples. But boy, that's deer damage right there. That's not bugs. That's a deer's gotten a hold of that one. But the Williams Pride apples are large. They're not loaded this year like they have been in the past. Well, last year. The jury is still out on Williams Pride, on what I think of it. Last year they got soft on me before I got them off the tree when I really thought they were ready. So we'll try again this year. This tree is a mystery tree. It was supposed to be a Granny Smith, a dwarf Granny Smith. I stuck it in to try it, and this is not a dwarf tree. This is a semi-dwarf tree. You can see the difference between the two trunks, the space this tree wants to take up. I'm going to try to keep it in check with pruning and see if I can't keep it in this row. I don't know yet. Hopefully this year we'll have an idea just what that tree is. So here's Gala. We've had a lot of problems with Fireblight and Gala here on the property, including both of these dwarf trees. The second year after they were planted, had a lot of Fireblight, and they were cut back pretty hard. I've not snipped anything out of them this year, and I don't see anything that bugs me. There's a little bit of a flagging spur up there. Not real sure about it. I don't know if you can see it, but I'll come back and I may have to take that out. I don't know that that's Fireblight at this point. I've seen bad Fireblight. That is not bad. These trees are okay. I'm happy with the Fireblight. Grimes Golden. I took a lot of wood off of these Grimes Golden trees back when, about 3 years ago. when the Fireblight was running rampant in the orchard. I need to do a little more thinning out here. I did thin these trees, but I must have missed that spot. So I just walk along and look, and some of you remember the Fireblight struggles I had here, and really that's the point of this video, is sharing with you the success I've had controlling Fireblight. And yeah, these are susceptible varieties. You saw Sweet 16, I did cut 2 branches out of there. That's the only Fireblight I've found in this orchard so far this year, but I haven't checked probably for a week. That's why I'm coming and doing another check. But it should have been showing up about a week ago if it was going to. These are wine saps here, deer damage. And wine saps will get Fireblight. You can see this long gap right here. These were all lost to Fireblight. Sorry about the shadow. This one I regrafted this year. It's coming out. I regrafted this to an Empire. I don't know if Empire is going to be a good tree for me or not. I've got one right here. It's a dwarf. It's set fruit this year. Hopefully we'll get to sample them. I get the fence up, they should make it to maturity without the deer eating. So I'll get to try Empire this year and figure out if I really like it. You know what? I don't see Fireblight. I just don't see it. This is the 3rd year in a row that we've done pretty good with Fireblight. This is an Empire on, I think that's a G30 stock, but anything outside the fence just gets eaten. All coming to an end. And this is Fuji. Fuji is very bad about Fireblight. It's not blight. I showed this in another video. It's just a broken branch. Fuji is terrible about Fireblight, but not in this tree. So, what have I done to control Fireblight? Well, I take no prisoners. If I see Fireblight, I cut it back. I cut it back hard. I cut it back quick. Way back into the branch, back into 2, maybe 3-year-old wood, or I just remove the entire branch. Don't play around with it. It'll rear its ugly head again. If you don't cut back far enough into the branch, that portion of the branch will be infected. This is a Liberty tree right here, and actually this branch was infected with Fireblight. One of the few strikes I had on Liberty, but it was. And so I cut it right here. This was a side branch, and it's now the main portion of this lateral coming out this way. But I take no prisoners with Fireblight. In bloom, I spray with agromycin. Before bloom, about quarter, half-inch green, I spray with copper and coat the trees with copper. And you hope for the best. Sometimes it rains and it knocks it all off, and that's the best you can do. But copper does a good job of knocking out any cankers and destroying any of that Fireblight bacteria that comes out of the cankers in the early spring. So between the copper and the agromycin, cutting out and destroying shoots as soon as I see them, getting rid of trees that just had Fireblight everywhere and I couldn't control it. I hesitate to say it, but I have controlled Fireblight. I go after it about as hard as any insect or disease. Well, it is a disease, but say scab or cedar apple rust or anything of that nature. I go after Fireblight just as hard. And it's paid dividends. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it even in susceptible trees. It's a good sign. Thanks for watching. Good looking apples up there.